Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good to see you. My name is Matt Charbonneau, and I'm the Director of Performing Arts and Entertainment here at Lakeside Chautauqua. Welcome in. Are there any first-time visitors to Lakeside Chautauqua here tonight? If so, raise your hands. All right, give a round of applause for our new friends. Please come back soon, and you can find all of our activities for all of our different pillars online and in the Lakesider. Tonight we've got a really special guest, as I'm sure you already know, and I'm just going to go through a few upcoming highlights for programs and then turn over the stage to this gentleman. Tomorrow night is the Lakeside Talent Show, the annual Lakeside Talent Show. Special note, because of some storm issues over at Hoover, it's been moved into Orchestra Hall. So it's 7 p.m., Lakeside Talent Show. Come support your friends, your family, your community members as they get up and perform for the entire community. On Thursday, 7/9, keynote back in Hoover. Scott Tong is the keynote speaker on Thursday. On Friday the 10th in Hoover at 7:30 p.m., it's the Desert Song musical, staged by American Musical Productions out of the Canton, Northeast Ohio area. Was anybody here on Sunday, July 5th for the bandstand concert? All right, so it's the same fellow. It's Joseph Rubin. He's the conductor. He's the archivist. He's the research musicologist that does all the research and finds these old shows that he comes and then recreates. So the Desert Song was apparently performed at Hoover on the stage 60 years ago. And the musical itself is about to turn 100 years old. So that's the reason for Joseph coming and presenting it here at Hoover on Friday. And then on Saturday, it's Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees. He's on a tour celebrating 60 years of the Monkees. He'll sing, he'll play. He has a visual presentation and a lot of stories that's going to go along with his performance that night. Doors are at 6:45 for that, and come get a good seat because we expect a big crowd for that one. Okay, so tonight, hopefully this gentleman is familiar to all of you. He's been to Lakeside many times, most recently back in 2024, along with Shaun of the South, when they did a musical keynote on the Hoover stage. And to be more precise, I guess most recently at 3:30 p.m. this afternoon in this room. Hopefully you caught his Civil War songs presentation at 3:30 today. Tonight is Songs of the American Revolution. Mr. Horton is a multi-instrumentalist, a composer, a producer, a music historian. He's a walking encyclopedia, essentially. He's performed with the musical comedy trio Three and a String for more than 50 years. His work also includes scoring 19 PBS films by Ken Burns, including the Civil War and baseball, as well as projects for the A&E Network and the National Park Service. Please give a huge welcome to Mr. Bobby Horton.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much. The roots of this American folk song can be traced back to the 17th century in England, and it's in the noble acts of King Arthur and his Round Table. According to folklore and traditions, there are 3 professions that are suspect. 1, millers have been credited with all types of crimes from petty larceny to murder. 2, weavers are terribly unsociable people. I didn't know that, but 3, while it takes 9 tailors to make one good man, it only takes 1 tailor to make mischief. And these are the stars of this song that was a hit in the late Revolutionary War period. And it goes like this. In good old colony times, when we lived under the king, 3 roguish chaps fell into mishaps because they could not sing. Because they could not sing. Because they could not sing. 3 roguish chaps fell into mishaps because they could not sing. Oh, the first he was a miller. The second he was a weaver, and the third he was a little tailor. 3 roguish chaps together, 3 roguish chaps together, 3 roguish chaps together, and the third he was a little tailor. 3 roguish chaps together. Oh, the miller, he stole corn, and the weaver, he stole yarn, and the little tailor ran right away with the broadcloth under his arm, with the broadcloth under his arm, with the broadcloth under his arm, and the little tailor ran right away with the broadcloth under his arm. Well, the miller was drowned in his dam, and the weaver got hung in his yarn, and the devil clapped his paw on the little tailor with the broadcloth under his arm, with the broadcloth under his arm, with the broadcloth under his arm, and the devil clapped his paw on the little tailor with the broadcloth under his arm. In good old colony times, when we lived under the king, 3 roguish chaps fell into mishaps because they could not sing. Thank you so much. I want to thank, I got to thank Matt, thank you so much. And I want to thank John Mann, the Director of Education, and Mike Malkar for doing the sound and lights. This is my umpteenth trip. Oh, yeah, they're so good. They are so good at what they do. And it's such a delight to be with them. This is my fifth or sixth time here. And it's always a thrill to come. First trip was about 1995. And it's so proud to be at this lovely place with you folks. I thank you for coming out tonight. And we're going to be looking tonight at music from the Revolutionary War period. And music has been an integral part of every society going back as far as you want to go. You think back to the Psalms were sung. The Iliad and the Odyssey in ancient Greece was sung. I remember having to read that in school. I didn't understand it, but we didn't sing it. We just read it. Mel Gibson would have never filmed Braveheart, which is one of my favorite movies, were it not for Blind Harry the Troubadour. Because you see, not Mel Gibson, he didn't live in the late 1200s. William Wallace lived in the late 12s, early 13s, as did Blind Harry. He kept alive William Wallace's feats and his quest for Scottish independence. And it was passed from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next. And when the Scots got where they could read and write, they knew about this story, and they knew to go back to King Balliol and William Wallace and the quest for Scottish independence. And so they would find it in the volumes of kept papers the monks had made. So, but it's been used by every culture to pass down these things, and since time immemorial. One, this is who we are. This is what we believe. This is our history. Here's our heroes. And that's how one generation passed to the next. And it's been going. And you know, then the American Revolution and our country is no different. Our history is song. It's in song. And we're going to look tonight at the songs that were sung and collected during the Revolutionary War. You know, when this upstart bunch of ragtags said, let's go ahead and take on the greatest army in the world and the second greatest empire since Rome, ancient Rome. And they pulled it off. It's just amazing. It took them 8 years. They pulled it off. And so we're going to look at those events through music that they sang and made up at the time. Now, music can serve as a snapshot in time. It can look at why people did what they did, at their hopes, their dreams, what they were planning for, their successes, their failures. It's all in song. Now, let's get started here. Because the very first song, a patriotic American song ever published and put out in broadsheet, was a song that was written by a fella named John Dickinson of Virginia. Now, he borrowed an old English melody, which was pretty common during that time, called Hearts of Oak, and he wrote these words to it. Now, John was not an advocate for independence at the time, but he did encourage Americans to give their money in defense of their rights, where they could lobby Parliament over in England and maybe keep some of these taxes from kill them, really. But he later became a member of the Continental Congress. He was a soldier in the Continental Army, and after the war, he became governor of Pennsylvania. This song emphasizes the growing tensions between the colonies and Mother England, and you can sort of feel the tension starting to boil between the two. And it's called the Liberty Song. Come join hand in hand, brave Americans all, and rouse your bold hearts at fair liberty's call. No tyrannous acts shall suppress your just claim, or stain with dishonor Americans' fame. In freedom we're born, and in freedom we'll live. Our purses are ready. Steady, friends, steady, not as slaves, but as free men. Our money we give. Our worthy forefathers, let's give them a cheer. To climates unknown did courageously steer. Through oceans to deserts for freedom they came, and dying bequeathed us their freedom and fame. In freedom we're born, and in freedom we'll live. Our purses are ready. Steady, friends, steady, not as slaves, but as free men. Our money we'll give. Then join hand in hand, brave Americans all. By uniting we stand, by dividing we fall. In so righteous a cause, let us hope to succeed. For heaven approves of each generous deed. In freedom we're born, and in freedom we'll live. Our purses are ready. Steady, friends, steady, not as slaves, but as free men. Our money we'll give. Thank you, thank you. Now he was rather angry, as some of the colonists were, because you see that song was written in 1768. In 1765, the British Parliament imposed a direct tax on the colonies, and they called it the Stamp Act. It required all used paper to be stamped. You had to buy the paper from England, and it'll have the King's tax stamp on it, so you pay the tax when you buy the paper. And they were required on legal documents, newspapers, even playing cards. You had to have it on stamped paper. That made the colonists very happy to do that. And then in 1767, Parliament passed another good one, and it was called the Townshend Acts, because it was taxing this and this and this and this and this, such as glass, lead, paint, paper, tea. It was imported into this country. The colonists had to pay tax on each thing. And that made the colonists really happy. So much so that they started non-consumption boycotts. And they were organized to protect us from taxation without representation. And really and truly, just like the taxes had been done before. Now, it was fairly effective, but the most effective was the import of finished goods and materials used to make clothes for ladies. So ladies were encouraged to not buy British, but to wear only clothes of their own make and spinning. This thing went so well that it got to be the thing to make your own homespun clothes. And this song accompanied a broadsheet, which this one really hurt the British. The textile industry took a big hit over there. And it's called To the Ladies. Young ladies in town and those that live round, wear none but your own country linen. Of economy boast, let your pride be the most, to show clothes of your own make and spinning. What if homespun, they say, be not quite so gay, as brocades be not in a passion? For once it is known, 'tis much worn in town, one and all would cry out, 'tis the fashion. And as one all agree that you'll not married be to such as will wear London factory. But at first sight refuse, tell 'em such you will choose as encourage our own manufactory. No more ribbons wear, nor in rich silks appear. Love your country much better than fine things. Begin without passion, 'twill soon be the fashion to grace your smooth locks with a twine string. These do without fear, and to all you'll appear fair, charming, true, lovely, and clever. Though the times remain darkish, young men may be sparkish and love you much stronger than ever. Then make yourselves easy, for no one will tease ye nor tax you if chancing to sneer at the sense-ridden tools who think us all fools, but they'll find the reverse far and near. I want to say this. I'm slowing a lot of these down from what the tempo they would have played them, because we're using phraseology, or whatever you call it, that is common to the period that didn't make it to us. So very cleverly written. You'll find, too, as I go through that most of the melodies you hear in this music are borrowed English melodies, because that's what people knew when they moved over here. And so obviously the printed presses weren't rolling out songs over here like they did, say, maybe 100 years later. But this one came over is just a popular song, and it came from either Scotland or Ireland. No one knows for sure, but both sides claim it. So if you have Scottish descent, this is a Scottish tune. If you have Irish in you, it's an Irish tune. But it's called Robin Adair. What's this dull town to me? Robin's not near. What wished I wished to see, what wished to hear? Where's all the joy and mirth made this town a heaven on earth? Oh, they're all fled with thee, Robin Adair. What made the assembly shine, Robin Adair? What made the ball so fine, Robin was there? What when the play was o'er, what made my heart so sore? Oh, it was parting with Robin Adair. But now thou art cold to me, Robin Adair. But now thou art cold to me, Robin Adair. Yet he I love so well, still in my heart shall dwell. Oh, I can ne'er forget Robin Adair. Thank you. This is an interesting song, and I really, really like this. In 1775, tension was mounting between the colonies and England, especially around the Boston area, where the militia was pretty strong and the hotheads were there, and a lot of people call that the cradle of our country. But in 1775, an Edinburgh writer wrote a text that was paired with a popular Irish tune called Langolee. It's a lovely melody. Well, the song is written from the point of view. You see what had happened? British Thomas Gage, who was a commander in Boston, asked for reinforcements from London, and they came. And boy, did they come. That made the colonists very, very happy. And a lot of these fellows were required to stay with civilians in their homes. That really made them happy, you know. But this song is written from the point of view of a young lady who lives on the Dee River. Now, if you look at our map up here, the Dee River comes out of Wales, and it comes into northwest England, and it's kind of one of these kind of rivers, slow, lazy, and then all of a sudden it goes whoop, out to sea. Well, she lived on the Dee River, and she's having to say goodbye to her Jamie, who is her intended, who's in the army and is sent over here. Now, this song became a mega hit in Britain, and it was brought over here where it was popular over here, especially with the Tories. And it's called The Banks of the Dee. 'Twas summer, and softly the breezes were blowing, and sweetly the nightingale sang from the tree. At the foot of the hill where the river was flowing, I sat myself down on the banks of the Dee. Flow on, lovely Dee, flow on, thou sweet river. Thy bank's purest stream shall be dear to me ever. For there I first gained the affection and favor of Jamie, the glory and pride of the Dee. But now he's gone from me and left me to mourning to quell the proud rebels, for valiant is he. But there's no hope of his speedy returning to wander again on the banks of the Dee. He's gone, hapless youth, o'er the rude roaring billows, the kindest, the sweetest of all his brave fellows, and left me to stray amongst these once loved willows, the loneliest lass on the banks of the Dee. But time in my prayers may perhaps yet restore him. Blessed peace may restore my dear lover to me. And when he returns with such care, I'll watch o'er him. He never shall leave the sweet banks of the Dee. The Dee then will flow, all its beauty displaying. The lambs on its banks will again be seen playing, whilst I with my Jamie are carelessly straying and tasting again all the sweets of the Dee. Many of the colonists were not happy to have the British soldiers here. I mentioned that earlier. And one of these, and they had no empathy for that young lady on the Dee River or for Jamie or his compatriots. One such fellow was Oliver Arnold, who wrote a parody on the banks of the Dee. Now, this didn't go viral over in England, but it went viral here. And it's very clever. In fact, I'll tell you the first the first line is so well written. It says, "'Twas winter, and blue Tory noses were freezing as they marched through the land where they ought not to be." Now, is that clever or what? This song is called A Parody on the Banks of the Dee. 'Twas winter, and blue Tory noses were freezing as they marched through the land where they ought not to be. The valiants complained as the fifers cursed wheezing and wished they remained on the banks of the Dee. Lead on, thou paid captain, tramp on, thou proud minions, thy ranks, basest men, should be strung like ripe onions, for here thou hast found heads with warlike opinions on the shoulders of nobles who ne'er saw the Dee. prepare for war's conflict or make preparation for peace with the rebels, for their brave and glee. Keep mindful of dying and leave the foul nation that sends out its armies to brag and to flee. Make haste now and leave us, thou miscreant Tories, to Scotland repair their court, the sad Horace, and listen once more to their plaints and their stories concerning the glory and pride of the Dee. Be quiet and sober, secure and contented upon your own land. Be valiant and free. Bless God that the war is so nicely prevented, and till the green fields on the banks of the Dee. The Dee then will flow all its beauty displaying. The labs on its banks will again be seen playing, and England thus honestly taxes defraying with natural drafts from the banks of the Dee. Thank you so much. Now, the relationship between the British Army and the people in and around Boston was very tense, right at the boiling point. British General Thomas Gage marched. Now he did it quietly. He tried to sneak out of Boston one night, on the night of April 18, 1775. He didn't want anybody to know that he was taking his 700 men out. But the spy network was very active and very good. And so the spies knew exactly what he was doing. They were waiting to determine whether he was going to go around the water by land or if he's going to go across the water by sea. And so they determined that the spies were so good they knew that he was going by sea. So remember this story, the old North Tower from the old North Church. One lantern meant by land, two meant over the water. And so there were two there. And then once that signal was given, 3 people took off, digging in their horses. Paul Revere, of course, we know about him, William Dawes, and Dr. Samuel Prescott. And they were going to be hell-bent for leather, trying to tell the British are coming, they are coming. And what happened was, as the British went across, by early in the morning, they had to go through Lexington. And there in Lexington, there were 70 militia people waiting on them, 70. Up against 700, and the British had picked up 2 more units, and so there was more. We don't know quite how many there were there, but they were waiting, and they stared at one another, and it was a tense moment. Finally, the British said this: "Put down your guns and leave, and you can leave safely." Well, they turned to leave safely with their guns. There was a one shot, and then a volley, and then a shot back, and then after that volley, there were 8 militiamen dead on the field, 10 were wounded. The British casualties was 1 British soldier wounded. Now, when they got to Concord, where they were looking for the militia guns and ammunition, they were gone. There was no guns and ammunition to be had. Now, they started fighting there because waiting on them was between 3,800 and 4,000 militiamen who were very serious about their new job. And the fighting started, and eventually the British had started to fall back towards Boston, and it was 16 miles. And as they were falling back, the rear guard was being pelted, and there were ambushes being set all the way back. And it was a fighting retreat is what it amounted to. And when they got back to Boston, they went into Boston, and the militia sealed it with a blockade where they couldn't get food or anything else in there. So this was a success. When it was over, the casualties were, British had 73 killed, 174 wounded, and 26 missing. The colonists, or the militia, had 49 killed, 39 wounded, and 5 missing. So this was a victory. Hey, we're one for one. Now, so a fellow took an old Irish melody called the Irish Washerwoman and put victory words with it, and he called it the Irishman's Epistle. By my faith, but I think you're all makers of bulls, with your brains in your breeches, your arse in your skulls. Get home with your muskets, put up your swords, and look in the book for the meaning of words. You see now, my honeys, how much you're mistaken, for concord by discord can never be beaten. How brave you went out with your muskets all bright, and thought to befrighten the folks with the sight. But when you got there, how you powdered their pums, and all the way home how they peppered your bums. And is it not, honey, a comical crack to be proud in the face but be shot in the back? How come you to think that they did not know how to be after their firelocks as smartly as you? Why, you see now, my honeys, 'tis nothing at all but to pull at the trigger and pop goes a ball. You see now, my honeys, 'tis nothing at all but to pull at the trigger and pop goes a ball. And what have you got now with all your designing but a town without victuals to sit down and dine in, and to look on the ground like a parcel of noodles and sing how the Yankees have beaten the Doodles? I'm sure if you're wise you'll make peace for a dinner, for fighting and fasting will soon make you thinner. By my faith, but I know you're all makers of bulls, with your brains in your breeches, your arse in your skulls. Get home with your muskets, put up your swords, and look in the book for the meaning of words. You see now, my honeys, how much you're mistaken, for concord by discord can never be beaten. Thank you. It got to be a thing when, after a famous battle or something that you're proud of, the fiddle players would make up a melody, or the fife guys. And I think this one was a fiddler that did this one. He made it up, called it "The March to Boston," honoring the battle that took place at Lexington Concord. And this thing got so popular that every fife player and drum corps in the Continental Army played this song throughout the whole war. And it goes like this. Oh. I have this in so I won't have to hear my own fiddle playing. March to Boston. Thank you. This is a grand story. On June 29th of 1776, Sir Peter Parker, who was admiral of a fleet, had a great plan to take Charleston, which is the most important city in the southern colonies. And this is his plan. He thought it was a perfect plan. The ball will start with the British fleet coming in and pummeling the fellows on Sullivan's Island. Sullivan's Island was the key to the defense of Charleston, and that's where all the Continental soldiers were with their artillery. Now, that was Peter Parker's plan, and the second part of his plan, once they have reduced the forces there and really beaten them up, then they would float the British infantry in, and they'd mop up, and they could sort of waltz into Charleston. That's Peter Parker's plan. He thought it was a perfect plan, but as it turns out, Sir Peter Parker's perfect plan was not so perfect. And there's two reasons. Because, number one, when soldiers would be dug in, they would have headlogs where they could shoot over it, and the headlogs offer protection. Normally, they would be using like hardwood like oak, maple, hickory, whatever they had around. And the problem with hardwoods is that when a cannonball hits it, they kind of explode and shoot shards like shrapnel, and it maims and kills people behind it. Well, they did not use a hardwood because they didn't have them. They had a palmetto tree there. And so they made their headlogs out of palmetto logs. And this proved to be a wonderful thing because when the cannonballs would hit it, it wouldn't go through, it would go, stop. And it would splinter it, but it wouldn't let the ball through, and it didn't explode the wood. And so that's one of the biggest reasons Sir Peter Parker's perfect plan was far from perfect. The second reason was the artillery on Sullivan's Island got the range on the British ships, and they were scoring hits on those British ships. In fact, Sir Peter Parker's flagship was the HMS Bristol. It got hit several times, and it caught fire. And the great part about it, it caught Sir Peter Parker's pants on fire. It really did. In the middle of the battle, he's going, whoa, and he had to take his breeches off during the battle, and that's, I don't think that was part of his perfect plan. Well, so eventually he said, they backed out of the harbor and said, this is not going to work. And so for now, Charleston is safe, and it's still in Continental hands. Now, down the road, it wasn't true. But this is a great reason to celebrate. Now, you would think this song I'm going to present to you was written by a very happy patriot over here. But no, it was written by somebody in London who got it published in the paper. And he called it A New War Song by Sir Peter Parker. And so I'd like to share it now. And it's just a wonderful thing. My lords, with your leave, an account I will give that deserves to be written in meter. For the rebels and I have been pretty nigh, faith almost too nigh for Sir Peter. With much labor and toil unto Sullivan's Isle, I came from his Falstaff or pistol. But the Yankees, odd rot 'em, I could not get at 'em, most terribly mauled my poor Bristol. Bo Clinton by land did quietly stand, while I made a thundering clatter. But the channel was deep, so he could only peep and not venture over the water. Devil take them, their shot came so swift and so hot, then the cowardly dog stood so stiff, sirs, that I put ship about and was glad to get out, or they would not have left me a skiff, sirs. Now bold as a Turk, I proceed to New York, where with Clinton and how you may find me. I've the wind in my tail, and I'm hoisting my sail to leave Sullivan's Island behind me. But my lords, do not fear, for the next year, although a small island would fret us, the continent hold we will take by my soul, if the cowardly Yankees will let us. Sir Peter Parker. Thank you. Oh, you're very kind. I appreciate that so much. You know what's really neat about this? These are our songs that I'm doing tonight. They belong to all of us, and that's what makes it great. Let me get ahead of this. You know, when you travel around a lot, you get different different pollens and stuff in it. You feel it. And I apologize for this. But The song came from Ireland, and it was written in 1691 with the Treaty of Limerick, which ended the 3-year Irish Rebellion. And in the part of the treaty, the British said to the men in Ireland, says, you can swear allegiance to the king or leave. Okay? A lot of men left and went to France where they could still fight the British. Others came over here, and they brought this song with them. It's called Shul Arun, which is Gaelic, which means go, my love, and it implies go, my love, with my blessing. And you'll hear mentioned in verse 1, and she's saying that's written from the point of view of somebody, once again, who's saying good, farewell to her love, who's off in the war. And she says, back then, mill, like grist mills, sawmills were turned with big water wheels. That's where they got their power. And so she's crying so much, she says in the song, every tear could turn a mill. And that's what that's referring to. In the third verse, she says, I'll sell my rock. Now, the rock that's the part where the cloth or whatever, the raw material is, the flax or whatever, is primed where it can go across the spinning wheel and come around. And he said she'd sell her reel. The reel is a take-up bobbin or whatever, and that's called the reel. So she says she'll sell her rock, she'll sell her reel. She's even going to sell her spinning wheel, which means one thing: she can't make a living, so she's going to have to bake bread. Last verse, she's dyeing her dress all over red, which symbolizes I am supporting my beloved with everything I have, because she's trying to sell the spinning wheel to buy him a sword of steel where he can survive and come back to her. Lovely, lovely tune. I think maybe a lot of you know this one, but it's one of the main songs to come out of the Revolution. Here I sit on Buttermilk Hill. Who can blame me, cry my fill, and every tear would turn a mill. My Johnny is gone for a soldier. Shula, shula, shula room. Time can only heal my woe. Since the lad of my heart from me did go, Johnny is gone for a soldier. Well, me, oh my, I loved him so. Broke my heart to see him go, and only time will heal my woe. My Johnny is gone for a soldier. Shula, shula, shula room. Time can only heal my woe. Since the lad of my heart from me did go, Johnny is gone for a soldier. I'll sell my rock, I'll sell my reel. Likewise, I'll sell my spinning wheel, and buy my love a sword of steel. Johnny is gone for a soldier. Shula, shula, shula room. Time can only heal my woe. Since the lad of my heart from me did go, Johnny is gone for a soldier. I'll dye my dress, I'll dye it red, and through the streets I'll beg my bread. For the lad that I love from me has fled. Johnny is gone for a soldier. Shula, shula, shula room. Time can only heal my wound. That's the lad of my from me from go. Johnny is gone for a soldier. Thank you very much. That is a very, very emotional tune, you know. That happens, I guess, in every war. That's that very same sentiment. In 1776, that was a great year for the Patriots, or at least it started out that way. Of course, on March 17 of 76, the siege of Boston that started in April of 75, it worked. British bailed. They went up to Staten Island, and they're free. They're free of the British. So, good start. All right. Number 2, Sir Peter Parker's perfect plan fizzled and failed down in Charleston. That's good news. 3, on July 4, the Declaration of Independence was approved by Congress and sent out to all the colonies for ratification. We're rocking and rolling right now, but it started downhill from there. Everything really started to tumble. On August 27, a big battle was fought outside of New York City. General Washington's army there was trying to keep the British out of New York and keep New York in our hands, Patriot hands. But they fought a battle on sometimes it's called the Battle of Long Island or the Battle of the Brooklyn Heights. And the British army overwhelmed General Washington's forces there and forced him to surrender. They surrendered in good order, but they had to leave, and Howe just waltzed into New York. The British kept New York for the whole war, and the war didn't end until 1783. You know, it was an 8-year thing. So General Washington's army retreated. They fought a battle at White Plains, New York, and they lost that one. They were overwhelmed. They were overpowered. They started falling back, and they slowly got beaten back. They eventually had to withdraw over all of New Jersey, and it was a slow withdrawal, but when they got to Trenton, they crossed over the Delaware River to the relative safety of Pennsylvania because this was December the 2nd. Now, let me tell you General Washington's dilemma. All of his army and most of the other armies that were in the colonies, their enlistments expired on December 31. This is December 2nd. Our army needs a victory in the worst sort of way because they're demoralizing. They're thinking, I don't know if I'm going to re-up or not because we're not winning. It looks like we're not going to win. So General Washington understood instinctively everything like this. And of course, if the army were to go home, then the rebellion ends, and most of these guys are going to be hung for treason against King George III. So General Washington showed his brilliance and how picking him for the Army command was perfect. He came up with a plan. He revealed this plan on Christmas Eve of 1776. Now, at Christmas Eve, you had one more week before those enlistments go away. And he had a great plan. He was going to cross the Delaware River under the cover of darkness with his army and his artillery, and they're going to use small boats to get him across. Well, it was freezing cold. It was freezing with snow. And as they're crossing, it was, like I say, we're in the dark. They had torches to aim for, when you're going across the river. But ice floes were coming down because the river's almost frozen. And it was hitting some of these boats and pushing them. They had to shove those out of the way and then go back and get back and land at the proper place. But believe it or not, the whole army made it across. And that's more remarkable because a nor'easter hit them while they were crossing. I mean, it brought rain, sleet, snow, and stinging winds. It was absolutely miserable for everyone, but they did it. When they got across, they had to march 9 miles down to Trenton, where there was an outpost of 1,500 to 1,600 Hessians that had been hired by the British to fight General Washington and all his ilk. And so this plan was brilliant. It was to be a surprise attack. And it was completely, perfectly, it surprised them. I mean, they overwhelmed them. When it was all said and done, about 300 of the Hessians snuck away and ran. And they captured some 1,200, roughly 1,200 Hessians, all their equipment, their guns, and the army is yeah, man, this is what it's about. And so they almost everyone to a man re-upped, and they had others that came and joined the army. So General Washington saved our country right there with his brave men. And there's a song that was written about it, and it's called "The Battle of Trenton," and it goes like this. Christmas Day in '76, our ragged troops with bayonets fixed for Trenton marched away. The Delaware Sea boats below, the light obscured by hail and snow, but no signs of dismay. Our object was the Hessian band that dared invade fair freedom's land and quarter in that place. Great Washington, he led us on, whose streaming flag in storm or sun had never known disgrace. Silent march we passed the night, each soldier panting for the fight, though quite benumbed with frost. Green on the left, at 6 began, the right was led by Sullivan, with never a moment lost. Their pickets stormed, the alarm was spread that rebels risen from the dead were marching into town. Some scampered here, some scampered there, and some for action did prepare, but soon their arms lay down. 1,200 servile miscreants, with all their colors, guns, and tents, were trophies of the day. The frolic or the bright canteen in center, front, and rear was seen, driving fatigue away. Now, brothers of the patriot bands, let's sing deliverance from the hands of arbitrary sway. And as our life is but a span, let's touch the tankard while we can, in memory of that day. Thank you so much. Isn't that a grand song? You can hear that. Yeah, man, we got him. In fact, when I hit that last chord, I thought at the last minute, oh, let's do a high one. I went, whoosh, and I went 2 frets too high. And a baseball announcer would say, he swings and misses. There was a fellow named Captain George Bush, who was a staff officer of General Washington. He was a fiddle player, and he carried his fiddle with him when he went to war, and a manuscript book. And when he would have downtime, he would go around to the fiddlers in the wherever area they were. You know, somebody, oh, so-and-so fiddles. And he'd go over there, and he would get him to play, and he would write down in his manuscript book the tune the guy played and how he played it. It was really neat. And he collected about 130 of these things. And there's a, you know, I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. I'm an X as a has-been and a spurt's a drip under pressure. But I love the work of people like this lady that collected those tunes. Her name was Katie Van Winkle Keller. And Katie and her ilk have gone down into the archives and in the dank basements of libraries and found all these tunes. And I'm so thankful they did, where people like me can enjoy them. And that's why it's such a joy to share. But to give you 2 examples that were in Captain Bush's book, his manuscript book. The first is a minuet called the Congress Minuet. The second is a country dance tune called Constancy. Thank you so much. God, you're so very nice. Thank you. I'm going to tell you about another British hot dog. He was a young fellow that came over here and was going to whip the world, especially these old patriots over here. And it's 1777. His name was John Burgoyne. He had been a member of the lower house over there in Parliament. And he was kind of a politician, but he was a military man. And he had had some success in Flanders and I forget where else, but he had had some successes. But he had a plan. He was sent over here. But before he did, he went, and conferred with King George III, and then he spoke to the Parliament over there, and then he came over, and he, like Sir Peter Parker had, he thought was the perfect plan. His perfect plan. He was stationed in Montreal, and there were, of course, British troops billeting there. And his plan was this: I'll come down with my troops towards Albany, New York, and General Howe, who was commander in New York, would bring his troops up, and they would both try to meet at Albany. And that would cut off the Delaware River to the Patriots, and it would also cut off the northern part of the colonies from the southern part of the colonies. And this looks like a pretty good plan. And I know I've had military people say, every plan is great until the first shot, and then it kind of doesn't work from there. And General Howe, was kind of a cocky kind of guy himself. And so what he decided to do, he said, well, I'll have time. Said, I'm going to go down to Philadelphia and capture Philadelphia, and I'll have time to get up to Albany and meet Burgoyne there. That was his plan. And he got bogged down in Philadelphia. And so as Burgoyne comes south, he was harassed by the Patriots who were picking him off, slowing his march, so much so he started running out of supplies. I mean, the line from Montreal, that's his line of communications to bring supplies down. It was fragile, and he was in trouble. The army got demoralized because they were losing faith in the plan. They went to Bennington, Vermont, and they were defeated by the Green Mountain Boys. They were heartily defeated. They just retreated, and they went from there to Saratoga, which was a major battle in which General Burgoyne was defeated and had to surrender most of his army. And this is the colonists were ecstatic, and Burgoyne was disgraced. He went home with his hat in his hand. But a song was written. It was called "The Fate of John Burgoyne." When Jack the King's commander was going to his duty, through all the crowd he smiled and bowed to every blooming beauty. The city rung with feats he'd done in Portugal and Flanders, and all the town thought he'd be crowned the first of Alexanders. To Hampton Court he first repairs to kiss King George's hand, sirs, then to harangue on state's affairs before he left the land, sirs. The lower house set mute as mouse to hear his great oration, and all the peers with loudest cheers proclaimed him to the nation. Then off he went to Canada next to Ticonderoga, and quitting those away he goes straightway to Saratoga. With great parade his march he made to gain his wished for station, when far and wide his minions hide to spread his proclamation. To such a state he offers made of pardon on submission, but savage bands should waste the lands of all in opposition. But the cruel fate of war, this boasted son of Britain, when mounting his triumphal car, with sudden fear was smitten. The sons of freedom gathered round, his hostile bands confounded, and when they fain have turned their back, they found themselves surrounded. In vain they fought, in vain they fled, his chief, humane and tender, soon thought it best his fortune to render. I messed that line up, so let's do it again, okay? In vain he fought, in vain they fled, their chief humane and tender. To save the rest, soon thought it best his forces to surrender. There you go. John Burgoyne. Thank you. Now, General Howe he was sent over here in 76. Mentioned him, General Howe was going to work with Burgoyne. And they sent him over here in 76. And in 78, it was obvious he wasn't getting the job done of putting down this old awful rebellion over here. And so he was moved somewhere else. And that made some colonist who was a fiddle player very happy. And to honor Lord Howe, or General Howe, he wrote a fiddle tune. He called it Lord Howe's Jig. And it goes like this. There you go. Yet another. I love this. I found this one years ago. Now, this, in the first century of colonies being here, the few songs that were published were all of a religious nature, and secular was never published. But after about 150 years of that, then they started publishing a few secular tunes. This may be the first one, but if it wasn't the first one, it was one of the first 3 or 4 secular tunes that was published in this country. It's a lovely, unusual little tune, and it's about a young lady who was so beautiful that she had suitors coming out her ears. I mean, they were knocking on the door, and she was that pretty, but I can't make my mind up. And so she put it off. And finally, when she realized, it's about time for me to make a choice, they were all spoken for, and she didn't have anyone. So she never married. And as she got older, she advised young ladies in all things, love and that kind of thing, and helped them any way she could. She was apparently a very sweet lady. A song was written about her, and it's merely called Katie Cruel, C-R-U-E-L. When I first came to town, they called me the roving jewel. Now they've changed their tune and call me Katie Cruel. Oh, diddly day, oh, diddly day. Oh, that I was where I would be, then should I be where I am not? Here I am where I must be, where I would be I cannot. Oh, diddly day, oh, diddly day. I know whom I love, I know who does love me. I know where I'll go, and I know who'll come with me. Oh, diddly day, oh, diddly day. Oh, that I was where I would be, then should I be where I am not? Here I am where I must be, where I would be I cannot. Oh, diddly day, oh, diddly day. Through the woods I'll go, through the boggy mire, straightway on the road till I come to my heart's desire. Oh, diddly day, oh, diddly day. Oh, that I was where I would be, then should I be where I am not? Here I am where I must be, where I would be I cannot. Oh, diddly day, oh, diddly day. Eyes as bright as coal, lips as red as cherry, and it's her delight to make the young folks merry. Oh, diddly day, oh, diddly day. Oh, that I was where I would be, then should I be where I am not? Here I am where I must be, where I would be I cannot. Oh, diddly day, oh, diddly day. Thank you. Now you're definitely going to know this one. This one came to us, and I remember singing this in grammar school, and probably you did as well, or when you were a kid. But it's called Yankee Doodle. Now a doodle. Now the definition back then is a doodle is one having diminutive mental capacity. You might call him low IQ, and today kids would call him a dummy. And the British wrote a song about Yankee Doodle, making fun of the Patriots. And they heard the song and they said, we'll wear it as a badge of honor. So they called themselves Yankee Doodles for that reason. And of course, the joke that the British wrote was not as funny as it could have been. Well, there were many versions of Yankee Doodle, and the one that came down to us it was a version from the viewpoint of a young man, a kid basically, whose daddy had taken him to see General Washington's army when it was in the area. And you'll hear his descriptions. He talks about a swamping gun as large as a log of maple. Now that's a cannon. And a crooked stabbing iron is a bayonet that goes on the end of a musket. And the little barrel with heads made of leather is the drum, and the little club would be the drumsticks. And so this is his description of Yankee Doodle and the visit to George Washington's camp. By the way, the melody was written by Dr. Richard Shuckburgh, a British Army surgeon. And you will be tested, okay? Just saying. Father and I went down to camp along with Captain Gooding, and there we saw the men and boys as thick as hasty pudding. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step, and with the girls be handy. And there we see a swamping gun, large as a log of maple, upon a deuced little cart, a load for father's cattle. And every time they shoot it off, it takes a horn of powder. It makes a noise like father's gun, only a nation louder. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the steppin', with the girls be handy. And Captain Davis had a gun, he kind of clapped his hand on it, stuck a crooked stabbing iron upon the little end on it. I see a little barrel too, the heads were made of leather. They knocked upon with little clubs and called the folks together. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step, and with the girls be handy. And there was Captain Washington and gentle folks about him. They say he's grown so tarnal proud he will not ride without them. He got him on his meeting clothes upon a slapping stallion. He set the world along in rows in hundreds and in millions. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step, and will the girls be handy? Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step, and will the girls be handy? Thank you so. There was a fellow named William Billings who was a tanner by trade. Lived in Boston, and his physical characteristics were vividly described. He had one leg a little bit longer than the other, and I guess some people may have called him Eileen. I don't know, but that would be a girl name. But bad joke. I'm sorry. But anyway, and his eye, he had some vision problems, but he was gifted. He was a gifted musician. He loved music. So much so he built singing schools for his whole adult life to teach people how to sing and how to enjoy the music. And he wrote tons of songs for them to sing. And he was just wonderful. And he is known by many as the first American composer. And he didn't call himself a musician. He said, I'm an enthusiast, a musical enthusiast. And so this song he wrote, that was the biggest hit during the war. This was the absolute favorite song of the soldiers in the Continental Army, in their ranks. They loved this. It had 5 verses. I'll just do 3, but to give you a feel for it. And in this thing, he's very proud of the efforts of the Army and all his patriots. But he knows where the help's really truly coming from, and it's in all of his music. But this is called Chester. Let tyrants shake their iron rods, and slavery clank her galling chains. We fear them not, we trust in God. New England's God forever reigns. When God inspired us for the fight, their ranks were broke, their lines were forced. Their ships were shattered in our sight, or swiftly driven from our coast. What grateful offering can we bring? What shall we render to the Lord? Loud hallelujahs let us sing, and praise his name on every chord, and praise his name on every chord. There you go. There was one of my favorite people was Francis Marion, the Swamp Fox. And I don't know how old you are, but when I was a kid, Walt Disney did a series of 30-minute shows called The Swamp Fox. And I became a fan of this man at that time when I was a little kid. And it thrilled me when I learned that one of my ancestors was down there with him. And, I didn't do anything. I'll take it, though. But General Francis Marion was born in Berkeley County, South Carolina, 1732. He fought as a lieutenant in the South Carolina militia in the Cherokee Wars of 1761 in South Carolina. And he voted for independence while a member of the South Carolina Provincial Congress. And he led a volunteer army in the Revolution. And his method was to use small groups of guerrillas, and he would go out and harass the British at night and day. He had no rules about that sort of thing. And he lived and fought out of the swamps where the British couldn't find him. And after the Brits were whipped at the Battle of Camden, Marion was the only force left in South Carolina to face the British. So he was amazing. In fact, these lightning raids were so effective, the British wasted a lot of effort, a lot of time, and a lot of equipment and monies to try to capture the swamp fox. They never did. They never did. There's a song that's written that captures the spirit, and it was written during that time, maybe by one of the men. I don't know who wrote this. We don't, but it goes back to the time. And they call it Marion's Men. We follow where the swamp fox guides, his friends and merry men are we. And when the Tory legions ride, we burrow in the cypress trees. The gloomy swampland is our bed, our home is in the red deer's den, our roof the treetop overhead, for we are wild and hunted men. We ride, we hide, we strike again, for we are Marion's men. We fly by day and shun its light, but prompt to strike the sudden blow. We mount and start with early night, and through the forest track our foe. Soon he hears our chargers leap, and flashing saber blinds his eyes. And ere he drives away his sleep, he rushes from his camp, he dies. We ride, we hide, we strike again, for we are Marion's men. Now pile the brush and roll the log, hard pillow but a soldier's head. That's half the time in breaking bog, must never think of softer bed. The owl is hooting to the night, the cooter crawling o'er the bank, and in that pond the splashing light shows where the alligator sank. We ride, we hide, we strike again, for we are Marion's men. Now pile the brush and roll the log, hard pillow but a soldier's head. That's half the time in breaking bog, must never think of softer bed. The swamp fox whistles to his scouts, you hear the order calm and low. Come wave your torch across the dark, we shall not be the last to go. Have courage, comrades, Marion leads, the swamp fox takes us out tonight. Clear your swords and coax your steeds, tonight we hide, tonight we fight. We ride, we hide, we strike again, for we are Marion's men. We follow where the swamp fox guides, we leave the swamp and cypress trees. Our spurs are in our coursers' sides, ready for the strife are we. The Tory camp is now in sight, and there he cowers within his den. He hears our shout, he dreads the fight, he fears and flies from Marion's men. We ride, we hide, we strike again, for we are Marion's men. We ride, we hide, we strike again, for we are Marion's men. Thank you. This is wonderful. On August 16, 1781, now this part isn't wonderful, but it's going to get that way. That's when General Cornwallis defeated, as I mentioned earlier, the Continental Army of General Gates and General Sumter at Camden, South Carolina. And that's when General Francis Marion was left by his own devices. though Cornwallis was charged with staying down there and controlling the rebels in South Carolina and Georgia, he says, kind of on a glory hunt, he says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go up into North Carolina and Virginia, and I'm going to end this rebellion in the South. It's just going to do it, because I can do that. I'm Lord Cornwallis, you see. Well, throughout these operations up in North Carolina and Virginia, General Nathaniel Greene was using the tactics of Francis Marion in guerrilla groups and just harassing the British at every turn. General Washington eventually comes down there, and they effectively use those techniques to keep moving and maneuvering Cornwallis into Yorktown. And when he got to Yorktown, instead of the British fleet sitting there, it was the French fleet. De Grasse, Admiral de Grasse had brought his fleet in, and they were sitting there. And after a 13-day siege, heavy artillery coming in all the time on Cornwallis, no rest. And they were feigning attacks and everything, just harassing them. Finally, he held a council, and he surrendered his army. And this effectively ended the war. And we are victorious. We can be our own country. And this was in 1781. Well, in fact, it was in October. But the war didn't officially end until the Treaty of Paris in 1783. But by all intents and purposes, there was no more fighting. So this was it. It's a glorious thing. And there's a wonderful song written called The Surrender of Cornwallis. And kind of makes you grin. You know, how about that? How about these people? Wow, were they something or what? And they chose the most patriotic British song there is. Come all ye bold Americans, the truth to you I'll tell. 'Twas of a sad misfortune which late on Britain fell. 'Twas all in the heights of Yorktown, where cannons loud did roar. They summoned Lord Cornwallis to fight or else give war. Yeah. The summons to surrender was sent unto the Lord, which made him feel like poor Burgoyne and quickly draw his sword. Must I give over these glittering troops, these ships and Hessians too, and yield to General Washington and his brave rebel crew? 6,000 brave, let's say, well, 'twas the 19th of October in the year of 81. Cornwallis did surrender to General Washington. 6,000 chosen British troops marched out in grounded arms. Huzzah, ye bold Americans, for now sweet music charms. Here's a health to General Washington and his brave army too, and likewise to our worthy Greene, to him much honor is due. May we subdue these English troops and clear the eastern shore, that we may live in peace, my boys, whilst war there's are no more. We're a country now. How about that? Isn't that wonderful? Thank you so much. I'm gonna close with something, but I want to thank Lakeside. I always love these folks here at Lakeside. I love the place, and you've been so wonderful. And I want to thank you for being here and being so doggone nice. Now, during the surrender of Lord Cornwallis's army, it took a while because they had quite a few that they were surrendering. When the soldiers would march and stack arms and take their cartridge boxes with them and their haversacks. And so they had musicians, British musicians, played the whole time this surrender service was going on. They played a song, and it was called "The World Turned Upside Down." And as I said earlier, though it didn't officially end the war, it didn't end until the Treaty of Paris about a year and a half later, but the war is over. We won. We are now the United States of America. David had defeated Goliath again, and the world had truly been turned upside down, hadn't it? Here we go. This was what it was played. you go. God bless y'all. Thank y'all so much. Yay, America. Hey. Thank y'all. Thank you very much.